INFJs are often called the rarest personality type in the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator, for good reason. Their power lies not in loudness, dominance, or visibility, but in a quiet, magnetic intensity that resonates far beyond what the eye can see. INFJs carry within them an emotional and intuitive depth that most people cannot easily access, and that is exactly where their power begins. They see the world not just as it is, but as it could be. INFJs are visionaries in the truest sense. They don't simply dream, they feel the future. They sense undercurrents in conversations, intuit motivations behind words unspoken, and walk into a room reading energy like others read facial expressions. This level of intuitive awareness gives them an edge in both connection and strategy. They know what people need before it's said. They sense shifts in energy before events unfold. It's not magic. It's their highly attuned, introverted intuition working in tandem with deep emotional empathy. To unlock the power of your INFJ personality, check out our INFJ Mastery course and INFJ ebook. The links are in the description of this video. Their emotional intelligence is extraordinary, yet rarely displayed for attention or praise. Instead, it becomes the engine behind everything they do. They speak when it matters. They move with meaning. When an INFJ decides to show up for something or someone, it's not halfway. Their loyalty, creativity, and internal conviction often leave people wondering how one person could hold so much gentle strength. And that's the paradox of INFJ power. It's soft, yet unshakable. Quiet, yet undeniable. INFJs don't seek the spotlight, but when they speak, people listen. Not because they're loud, but because their words often feel like truth wrapped in kindness. Their insights cut through noise with clarity that silences doubt. Their calm presence often disarms conflict. They can turn emotional chaos into safe space without raising their voice. That kind of inner calm, rooted in empathy, purpose, and intuition, is rare, and it makes them natural leaders, guides, and healers. Their creativity is also a form of power. INFJs often process their emotions and insights through writing, music, art, or systems they build to help others thrive. What may look like sensitivity or solitude from the outside is often a brewing of brilliant ideas and solutions within. INFJs are creators of meaning. They don't create for applause. They create to express, to heal, to transform. And perhaps one of the most quietly powerful aspects of INFJs is their resilience. Life doesn't spare them from pain. In fact, many INFJs move through trauma, rejection, or emotional overwhelm early in life. But what they do with that pain is where their power ignites. Instead of growing bitter, they grow wiser. Instead of closing off, they become protectors of the wounded. They use their scars as maps. They transmute suffering into insight, and then offer that insight to the world in the form of compassion, guidance, or art. INFJs often live behind the scenes, writing, guiding, healing, building, but their impact is anything but hidden. Their power is not about controlling others. It's about awakening them. And the most beautiful thing? INFJs don't chase power. They become powerful by being true to themselves, by listening inward when the world screams outward, and by choosing purpose over performance every single time. In a world that often celebrates noise, INFJs are powerful because they choose depth. They choose truth. They choose soul. And that's the kind of power that never fades. The power of an INFJ is the kind that unfolds in layers. It's not something you notice instantly. It reveals itself slowly, often in moments of stillness or after meaningful conversations that leave you thinking days later. There's a sacred patience to the INFJ presence, an ability to hold space for contradiction, emotion, and change without fear or judgment. That alone is a power few possess. INFJs carry a quiet courage that is often misunderstood. While they may not be aggressive or outwardly assertive, their moral backbone is made of steel. When something matters to them, when someone they love is in danger, or when a cause touches their soul, they will rise with a force that is unstoppable. INFJs are not afraid to stand alone if it means standing for truth. Their loyalty is fierce. Their boundaries, once crossed, are final. And though they may forgive, They never forget what they learned from the pain. There's something profoundly powerful in their solitude. INFJs don't just endure being alone. They need it to thrive. In their alone time, they reflect, heal, and envision. They're not running from the world in their solitude. They're preparing for how to serve it. Alone, they study people's pain. They collect fragments of wisdom. They imagine better systems, deeper relationships, and ways to improve the human experience. And when they emerge from that space, they often bring forth something so rich and rooted in meaning, it shifts those around them. Their relational power is equally profound. INFJs have the rare ability to make people feel seen, not just acknowledged, but understood at a soul level. It's a disarming experience for many who are used to being overlooked or misread. In a single conversation, an INFJ can mirror back someone's best self, the version hidden beneath shame, doubt, or ego. And they do it without performance, without manipulation, just presence and intentional listening. That kind of validation can change lives. And INFJs offer it freely, without seeking recognition. They are also master pattern readers. While others get caught up in surface drama or trends, INFJs are several steps ahead. They're piecing together symbols, patterns, and energetic shifts that give them insight into where things are headed. This gives them a quiet strategic edge. They know when to move, when to wait, and when to walk away, often before others even sense change is needed. But perhaps the most astonishing power of an INFJ is their ability to hold contradictions. They can be dreamers and realists, gentle and unyielding, empathic and deeply analytical. Their minds are not confined to black and white thinking. Instead, they live in the richness of nuance, and that's where true understanding lives. This makes them bridge builders, mediators, and soulful teachers. Even when misunderstood, and INFJs often are, they don't crumble under the weight of it. They use the misunderstanding as material for deeper self-knowledge. They learn to stop explaining and start embodying their truth. This shift, from needing to be understood to being grounded in self-understanding, is the ultimate personal power. An INFJ's power doesn't demand attention. It doesn't chase titles. It doesn't shout, but it moves people. It heals. It sees. It builds. It leads without ego. And in a world aching for depth, authenticity, and meaning, that is not just powerful, it is revolutionary. INFJs are born with an inner compass that doesn't point north. It points inward. While the world pushes many toward competition, speed, and noise, INFJs walk a slower, more intentional path. And though that path is often lonely, they follow it anyway. That commitment to inner truth, despite external pressure, is not weakness. It is strength in its purest, most defiant form. In a society built on performance, INFJs choose presence. And that is rare. They do not fear complexity. In fact, they thrive in it. They aren't unsettled by emotional depth, conflicting thoughts, or moral ambiguity. While others seek quick answers, INFJs are willing to sit in uncertainty, to explore the tension between light and shadow, to ask better questions. They see that healing doesn't come from surface fixes but from sitting with pain, understanding it, and gently transforming it from the inside out. This makes them powerful healers, not just in a professional sense, but in everyday life. Their ability to listen without judgment, to hold pain without shrinking, and to reflect light back into others when they've forgotten their own worth. That is spiritual leadership. INFJs are dreamers, yes, but not passive ones. Their dreams are blueprints. While others fantasize about change, INFJs quietly build it. In relationships, in communities, in ideas. Their dreams are rarely about escape. They are about elevation. An INFJ doesn't just want a better life for themselves. They want a more compassionate world for everyone. This humanitarian instinct, often hidden behind introverted eyes, fuels everything they do. Whether they're writing, parenting, designing, counseling, or leading, they're planting seeds of empathy everywhere they go. They are deeply intuitive, yet rigorously thoughtful. Many assume intuition is guesswork, but for INFJs, it's an internal radar built on pattern recognition, emotional intelligence, and soul sensing. They can walk into a room and feel the unspoken truth of everyone inside. They notice what others miss. They remember how people feel. Their intuition isn't about predicting the future. It's about feeling what's real beneath the surface. INFJs suffer deeply and transform quietly. Their pain does not make them bitter. It makes them precise, discerning, tender. This makes INFJs dangerous in the best way. Not because they fight with their fists, but because they disarm with truth. Because they can sense manipulation, ego, and dishonesty before it ever takes root. Because they cannot be bought with flattery or lured by false promises. Because they are not easily impressed, but deeply moved by authenticity. You may not always notice an INFJ in the room, but you'll remember the way they made you feel. You'll remember how safe you felt opening up, how deeply you felt seen, how, in their presence, it suddenly became okay to be exactly who you are. That is not luck. That is not coincidence. That is power. INFJs rarely realize just how powerful they are, because they are too busy trying to heal, help, and hold others up. But when an INFJ finally turns that same energy inward, when they begin to pour into themselves the same love, clarity, and purpose they give to the world, they become unstoppable. INFJs are powerful not because they control, but because they understand. They don't need to dominate a room to shift its atmosphere. There's something sacred about the way they carry themselves. Thoughtful but not timid, soft but not weak, silent yet far from absent. Their presence speaks in frequencies most people have forgotten how to hear. INFJs feel everything, so deeply it sometimes threatens to undo them. But instead of collapsing under it, they learn to translate it into art, clarity, purpose. They take what breaks and turn it into something beautiful. This power doesn't come from textbooks or strategies. It comes from soul work, from nights spent overthinking and mornings spent journaling through the aftermath, from every time they were told they were too sensitive and chose to feel anyway, from every season of emotional isolation where they learn not just to survive, but to transform. When an INFJ commits to something, it isn't a whim. It's a soul decision. Their dedication runs marrow deep. Whether it's a relationship, a mission, or a personal goal, they give all of themselves. They don't scatter their energy. They focus it with purpose, and that focus is transformative. Because when an INFJ believes in something, they become a vessel for it. They speak it, write it, embody it, and invite others into it. They don't preach change. They live it, quietly, relentlessly, powerfully. They often walk through life feeling misunderstood, but that, too, becomes a strength. They learn to become their own anchor. They learn to validate themselves. They learn to build an inner world so rich, so rooted, that no rejection can shake their sense of who they are. That kind of self-knowledge is a fortress. And when INFJs reach that place, not just knowing who they are, but honoring it, they begin to move differently, with clarity, with boundaries, with grace that doesn't bend to ego or pressure. INFJs don't ask to be seen, but once they are, their light is unforgettable, not because it blinds, but because it awakens. To unlock the power of your INFJ personality, check out our INFJ Mastery course and INFJ ebook. The links are in the description of this video.